So we get some latest lines on the situation in Brazil, because police have now surrounded protest camps in Brasília where they are intensifying their crackdown following last night's riots. They speak more about the situation now with journalist and contributing editor at Jacobin in London. We're joined by Benjamin Fogel. A very good evening to you, Benjamin. Grateful for your time. So is this moment a threat to democratic stability in Brazil?
Yes, it is. It should be noted this follows a longer process. There were numerous attempts to undermine the integrity of this election in its run-up. Bolsonaro, when he was president, and before he was president, and after he was president, has repeatedly attacked basic democratic norms. He's on numerous occasions expressed his admiration for Brazil's brutal military dictatorship and indicated he would prefer an authoritarian order to a democratic one. In the run-up to the elections, they spread a number of conspiracy theories trying to undermine the integrity of the election results and which convinced.
Benjamin, I'm not sure if we still have you with us. We lost you there for a moment. But just in terms of what these pro-Bolsonaro demonstrators are calling for, the rioters, one of the calls has been for military intervention in their favor. Is that a serious likelihood at this stage in Brazil?
I would say no. I don't think that if can you hear me still? Sorry,
we can hear you now.
Connection's a bit unstable. Okay, yeah, so this is better. Okay, I would say that military intervention is unlikely. These guys have been camped out for nearly 3 months now since the election, praying for intervention outside of military barracks all over the country. They have tried numerous road blockades. They just had this storming of the 3 houses of Brazilian government, and the military intervention they hoped for is not coming. The military has made its peace, even if they may have preferred Bolsonaro with the transition of power, and even if they have stoked conspiracy theories and anti-democratic posturing and bears some responsibility for the desecration of Brazil's democratic symbols, they are not going to lead a coup. And in the end, this was a sort of destructive riot where you saw protesters literally defecating in the Congress, vandalizing the House, the President, and the Supreme Court. This is a symbolism of destruction without a clear plan to take over, it seems.
And what's happening in Brazil in the last 24 hours has been compared to what we saw, the Capitol Hill riots in the US, when Trump supporters refused to accept his defeat in the election there. Are these two scenarios identical?
I wouldn't say identical. There's significant differences, but it's very clear, and it's openly clear that those who supported these riots in Brasilia, those who have been fomenting attacks on Brazilian democracy, are self-declared Trump fans and inspired by January 6th. One of Bolsonaro's sons is very close to, for instance, Steve Bannon. There's been, they were actively supporting January 6th at the time. I remember Bolsonaro even indicated his respect for the protesters back in 2020. Well, 2021, actually. But anyway, the thing is, though, the difference between Brazil and the United States is Brazil has a history of military coups. This is a country which has tended to be under authoritarian rule rather than a democratic order. There's military coups in living memory. So the threat of a coup is something which is much more real, credible, and apparent in Brazil, especially given the outsized role the military played in Bolsonaro's government. But that's the differences. But of course, this act was clearly inspired by the January 6th riots, even if they got their dates wrong.
Benjamin Fogel, thank you so much for your time tonight.